encourage everybody to build your own moat around yourself.
Hello and welcome. Warren Buffett started his first business when he was 11.
Well, I was lucky that I got started early.
He became a millionaire around the age 30, and now he's worth well over $88 billion. Millions of people from all walks of life look to Warren Buffett for advice. Warren Buffett is famously frugal. He eats at McDonald's for breakfast every day, spending no more than $3 or $4 each time. And he still lives in the same Omaha home he bought for just $31,500 in 1958.
It never bothered me if people disagreed with what I thought.
He's also been practicing at the art of turning a profit for the vast majority of his long life, which helps account for his massive fortune. From childhood side hustles and stock purchases to studying under investing gurus before launching his own investment firm more than 60 years ago, Buffett has spent his life fine-tuning the conservative approach to investing that favors long-term value over short-term goals. If you didn't start your first business when you were just a child like Warren Buffett did, no worries. This can be the beginning of anything you want, right here, right now, today. But how do you begin? You begin by having a process and sticking with it through thick and thin. And you need a willingness to not follow the crowd when stocks are hot.
To buy things on a quantitative basis. Look around for things that are cheap.
And being brave when others aren't by grabbing those unique opportunities. Today is the beginning you've been waiting for. You may not be able to achieve the performance Buffett has, but learning from successful investors can go a long way toward getting you anything you want.
We look for three things when we hire people. We look for intelligence, we look for initiative or energy, and we look for integrity. And if they don't have the latter, the first two will kill you. Because if you're going to get somebody without integrity, you want them lazy and dumb. You don't want them smart and energetic. The answer is that investors behave in very human ways, which is they get very excited during bull markets and they look in the rearview mirror and they say, I made money last year, I'm going to make more money this year, so this time I'll borrow, or the neighbor says, I wasn't in last year when that neighbor was dumber than I made a lot of money, so I'm going to go in this year. So they're always looking in the rearview mirror. And when they look in the rearview mirror and they see a lot of money having been made in the last few years, they plow in and they just push and push and push on prices. And when they look in the rearview mirror and they see no money having been made, they just say this is a lousy place to be. So they don't care what's going on in the underlying business. And it's astounding, but that makes for huge opportunity, just huge opportunity.
A few years to when it was at $10 a barrel, it's been more extreme than copper, but you are undoubtedly, it's like most trends. At the beginning, it's driven by fundamentals, and at some point, speculation takes over. The fundamentals cause something that people looked at for years without getting excited about. Fundamentals change the picture in some way. Copper does get a little short, or people get a little worried about currency and maybe gold goes up or whatever it may be. But, it's that old story of what the wise man does in the beginning, the fool does in the end. And with any asset class that has a big move that's based initially on fundamentals is going to attract speculative participation at some point, and that speculative participation can become dominant as time goes by, and famous case always being tulip bulbs. I mean, tulips may have been more attractive than dandelions or something, so people paid a little more money for them. But once a price history develops that causes people to start looking at an asset that they never looked at before and to get envious of the fact because he saw this early and so on, that takes over.
If you buy an ounce of gold today and you hold it 100 years, you can go to it every day and you can coo to it and you can caress it and you can fondle it and 100 years from now you'll have 1 ounce of gold and it won't have done anything for you in between. If you buy 100 acres of farmland, it will produce for you every year. You can use that money to buy more farmland. You can do it all kinds of things. For 100 years, it'll produce things for you, and you still have 100 acres of farmland at the end of the 100 years. You could buy the Dow Jones Industrial Average for 66 at the start of 1900. Gold was then $20. At the end, it was 11,400, but you'd all gotten dividends for 100 years. So a productive asset of any kind, a decent productive asset, is going to kill a non-productive asset over time. Now, in any given 1-year period, 5-year period, any asset can outperform another asset.
Well, I was lucky that I got started early. I mean, it always helps to get started early. And my dad happened to be in the investment business, so I would go down to his office on Saturdays. And so at age probably 7 or something, I started reading these books that were around the place. And so I had a 15-year jump on many people in a sense, and that helped a lot. And I was always fascinated by it. I knew what I wanted to do early, and I think that's a huge advantage too. And then you don't need a lot of brains in this business. I mean, I've always said if you got an IQ of 160, give away 30 points to somebody else because you don't need it in investments. What you do need is emotional stability. You have to be able to think independently, and you have to be, when you come to a conclusion, you have to really not care what other people say and just follow the facts and follow your reasoning. And that's tough for a lot of people. That part I think I was just lucky with. I was born that way. It never bothered me if people disagreed with what I thought, as long as I felt I knew the facts. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things I don't know a thing about. I just stay away from those. So I stay within what I call my circle of competence.